Hi ladies, welcome. If you're new here, I'm Kelly and I make videos every Thursday and Sunday, mostly about fashion with some beauty and lifestyle sprinkled in. And some of the questions that I've been getting lately from some of my subscribers are asking me things about my skincare routine, what I've had done. I've also had some questions about my eating, my fitness, things like that, which always amuses me because I feel like I am far from an expert in any of those things, but you want to know and I want to share. So today is about answering your questions and sharing with you some of the things that I am doing right now to look and feel my best as I approach 50. So I will be 50 at the end of this year. And as I approach that big milestone, it's definitely something that I've been thinking about. What can I do to help myself age gracefully? So I'm going to share with you all the things. Some of them you may know, some of them may be new to you, and hopefully they'll be helpful. And if you like this kind of video, please give it a thumbs up. Let me know so that I can do more of these in the future. And I really hope that you'll consider hitting that subscribe button. We are almost to 200,000 subscribers. I'm so excited, and I would love to have you join the family. Okay, so starting with skin. This is something that I've been really diving into recently with like skincare and maintenance, and what are some of the things that I can do to help look and feel my best as I get into the later years. And to be honest, I'm really trying to do everything I can to avoid wanting to go under the knife. I really am too much of a chicken. I don't see myself ever getting something like a facelift or, the eye lift or anything like that. I mean, I really think it's awesome. The people that do it, they tend to look fantastic. I just don't think I have it in me to put myself through that and to go through the recovery and surgery and all of that. But I am open to trying some non-surgical things. So I would say within the last year and a half, I have definitely dived into some of that a little bit more. So I wanted to give all of you an update. So I'm definitely big on my skincare. Every morning I do have a routine of cleansing, using my chemical exfoliant, which is the Paula's Choice one I've shared with all of you before. Then I go in with a serum and a moisturizer and a sunscreen before starting my full daytime makeup routine. And then in the evening, I just cleanse and usually put on like a serum, my prescription strength tretinoin, and maybe a moisturizer or some under eye cream. So pretty simple. I will link all of those products that I use down below, anything that is available, just in case you are interested. I do think a great skincare routine is really, really important because that's what's going to help the surface of the skin. So I've really been trying to concentrate on things like improving my texture and my pore size. I have really, really oily skin and really enlarged pores. But I can also get flaking. So it really does take a good skincare routine to keep the surface of my skin looking and feeling good. But what about beyond that? So within the last, I would say year to year and a half, I definitely have done some experimenting, and there are some things that I've tried and some things that I want to try in the future. So what are the things that I have tried? So I did do some Botox. I feel like I've been doing it for a bit over a year. Started with the upper part of the face, which is the most common area to start. So Botox like stops the muscles from, having all of the movement. I don't want to say freezes because hopefully if you have a good injector, you don't want to look frozen, but it stops all of the too much movement that kind of creates those deep lines in the skin. Now, for my upper part of my face, my eye area and my forehead, I don't actually use those in my expression as much. So that wasn't so much of a problem as it was preventative. So I started to do Botox in my forehead to prevent those deep lines from edging into the skin, and a little bit around my crow's feet on the outside here, which I do have some little lines. I can't say that I've noticed a big change in that, but I'm hoping that it will prevent those creases from forming in the future. I don't do anything underneath the eye because I do have bags, and if you put Botox there, my injector has told me that that could actually create worsening effect of the bag, so I don't mess with that. And then the second time I went in, I started to do some lower face Botox. So doing some, around this like lower jaw area, a little bit here with the little dimpling that happens in the chin area. This is where I feel like most of my aging is really occurring, but I'm definitely someone who has more of a sagging effect than a sinking effect or wrinkling effect. And unfortunately, Botox really doesn't do anything for sagging. So most of what I've been doing, I would say, is a little bit more preventative, which is is probably why none of you have asked me, none of you have really noticed anything different. I don't really notice a huge difference, but I do feel like it is maybe helping to preserve what I have, if that makes any sense. Okay, so another thing that I recently did about 2 months ago was I did Sculptra. So if you're not familiar with Sculptra, it is an injectable, but I'm going to read to you the definition because I know I'm going to get it wrong. I'm terrible with all those details, but it is an FDA approved biostimulatory injectable made of polylactic acid that stimulates your body to produce its own natural collagen. So I felt really comfortable doing this, one, because my doctor that does the Botox, I had asked her about what are some other things that you might recommend, and she is very, very conservative with things. She really avoids, doing fillers and things like that, and she knows that I just want a very natural look to my skin. So she said she thought that I might like this because it's not putting any like filler or anything in your skin. It's just helping your body to produce its own natural collagen and over time create a little bit of like a lifted filler effect. So I really did like that. First of all, she did the injections. There was no pain. She put like a topical cream. I didn't feel a thing. When I left, I didn't see anything. I didn't have any bruises, didn't have any injection marks. I know some people have a different experience. I do think it has to do with who is doing the Sculptra. She did a fantastic job. And the next day I just had like a really nice glow to the skin. It's called the Sculptra Glow. And it does kind of give you like a raised effect. It gives you almost like a temporary filler to the skin, but really natural, really beautiful. And then that does go away within a few days because it's just water that was pumped into your skin. But what you're left with is this, your body like creating its own collagen, and over the next few months should continue to do that, where hopefully some of those effects will become more permanent. So I do feel like the quality of my skin has improved slightly with the Sculptra. I do feel like my cheekbones feel a little bit more defined. I don't know if it's in my head, but I would absolutely do it again. So I definitely think I will follow up with this. They usually recommend, 2 to 3 sessions. So I do think that I will do more just to see if I'm really happy with it. It's very, very subtle, but I do think it has helped the quality of my skin. Okay, so let's talk about some of the things that I want to do. So I really am interested in doing some micro needling. I've been doing my research on that, and it sounds like a great thing for pore size, skin texture, and just overall maintenance of the skin. So I for sure am going to be looking into that. I do want to do some laser on my chest area for some sun damage. So in the future, those are some things that I will look into, and that's pretty much it. Just a little bit of what I am considering preventative and maintenance type of skincare, but that's all I'm really interested in doing. So I know these things aren't for everyone. I am in no way, shape, or form suggesting that you need to go out and do these things. I'm just sharing with you what I have done and how I feel about it, what my experience has been, and overall it's been really positive. So let me know down below, have you tried Sculptra? Have you tried Botox? What are your thoughts on it? And if you have any recommendations of things that maybe you have tried that you would recommend. Okay, so one of the questions I get asked the most here lately is about my fitness and my dieting and what I eat in a day, things like that, which I'm always really, really flattered that anyone would even ask me that question, because I feel like this is not an area that I'm super confident in, or that I feel like I'm an expert in any way, shape, or form. I definitely struggle with diet, healthy eating, things like that. But I'm going to share with you what I have been doing, what's been working for me. And of course, like I said, I am not an expert in this at all. I'm not a nutritionist. I'm, not a dietitian. So if you want real answers, do your research. But I'm going to share with you what's been working for me so far and what makes me feel my best. So when it comes to diet, I definitely have some bad habits. I really do. I am a sugar addict. I like soda, all those things. And I don't want to really give up things that I really enjoy. I know that sounds really immature. I mean, sometimes I really do eat like a 5-year-old, I'll admit, but I really don't want to give anything up, because I know for myself, if I take something away and I say you can no longer have this, it's just going to make me want it more, and then I'm going to binge. So I have really learned a way of eating that does work for me. And within about the last, I would say 2 years, I've been able to maintain about 10 to 12 pounds of weight loss that I had on me about 2 years ago. So it's not a huge amount of weight loss, but I feel good that I've been able to maintain that weight loss and basically stay under 130, which is a comfortable spot for me personally. Now, would I like to lose 5 or 10 more pounds? Absolutely. But it's not a priority all the time for me. I just want to be healthy. I just want to feel good in my skin, feel good in my clothes, and this is what I have been doing. So my method for eating is basically like a feast and fast kind of method. So what I like to do is typically I don't usually have breakfast, but if I'm really hungry for breakfast, I will have something small. I usually don't have breakfast, I'll be honest. I usually start my day with lunch, which is typically around 12 or 1 o'clock. And I don't really feel hungry before then, especially if I'm filming, I'm working, I'm busy. So I'll wait until about 12 to 1 o'clock to have my lunch. And when I have lunch, I think about that as like my main meal, or what I like to call feasting. So when it comes to lunch, it's pretty much anything goes for lunch. Of course, I try to be healthy. I try to eat like a grown-up. I don't want to be eating a bunch of fast food and junk food, but I don't limit myself when it comes to eating things that I love, like breads or pastas or pizza. I allow myself to have those things at lunchtime because those are things that I really enjoy, and I do truly believe that they can be part of a healthy diet. Let's be honest, it's been working for the Europeans for many years. They're not giving up their pizza or their pasta or their bread, and I feel like, why should I? I really love those things. So those are the things that I'm having during my lunch. Now with those things, of course, I'm having protein, I'm having some, usually some salad or something with it, but I really enjoy my lunch. I make it a bigger, heartier meal where I'm getting the bulk of my calories in that meal. So I think this is the perfect time to introduce the sponsor of today's video, which is Wild Grains. So when I was thinking about doing this video and talking about the way that I like to eat, I thought it was the perfect time to talk about Wild Grains. So I wanted to thank them for partnering with me on this video. So if you're not familiar with Wild Grain is the first bake from frozen subscription box for sourdough breads, artisanal pastries, and fresh pastas. So of course, I felt like they were the perfect sponsor for today's video because if you just heard about how I like to eat my lunch, you know that Wild Grain fits perfectly into that. This is the time of day where I really want to enjoy some delicious foods that I really love, like pastas, like pizzas and breads. And I want to do them using the most nutritious and healthy forms of that. And Wild Grains was just a perfect partner for this. So they first sent me a box filled with some delicious items like some blueberry biscuits, which you're going to see me baking here and enjoying. Super easy. You put them on your baking tray, pop them into the oven. It tells you exactly how long you need to bake them, pull them out and enjoy. They were so good. My husband and I love them. My daughter and her boyfriend were with us. We were filming this little piece in our Keys house, enjoying them on vacation. They were so good. So it didn't take me trying too many items to immediately log on to my laptop and order myself a subscription to Wild Grains, which I did. And since then, I have tried everything from their delicious chocolate chip cookies. I had a pasta the other day with one of their cheese sauces, and everything I have tried has been absolutely delicious. So what makes me feel good about eating Wild Grains products is that they are using very simple natural ingredients, and they use a slow fermentation process that actually makes it better for your digestion, easier on your tummy. And I definitely notice a difference when I eat their items. Personally, I don't feel bloated or gross after eating those carbs. It doesn't make me feel sluggish. So if you're interested in trying Wild Grains, definitely look in my description box for all of that information. Click on that link. You can save $30 off of your first box and free croissants for life, which I am not complaining about that. I'm super excited about that one. Now, moving on to the rest of the day. All of my heavier eating and feasting ends around 3 o'clock for me. So that is when I really try to get the bulk of my meals in, my calories in, my carbohydrates, any sweets, things like that. And then after 3 o'clock is when I'm really leaning into more protein and water to drink. And that is how I kind of do my diet. So I call it like feast and fast, not necessarily fasting. I do like to have dinner most nights, unless I had a particularly heavy lunch, and then I might just have water for the rest of the day. But most nights I like to have some dinner with my family, and that's when I'm eating protein for dinner. So that's usually going to be some chicken with maybe some broccoli, or what else do we do? Sometimes steak with a salad, things like that, where we're just focusing on protein and some vegetables. And that's when I'm drinking a lot of water for the rest of the night. And that is how I handle my diet, keeping a healthy weight. It has worked really, really well for me to maintain this like 10 to 12 pounds of weight loss. I do fluctuate 2 pounds, just like most of us fluctuate. I do fluctuate, and I'm okay with that. I'm comfortable with that because I'm at a place where I feel comfortable with my weight now. So that's how I do it. I hope that helps. So now that I've talked about my eating routine and what I like to do, I know a lot of you ask me about exercise and fitness. I gotta say, this is where I really have room for improvement. I have been horrible. Throughout my life, I have kind of gone, through different phases where I've been really good and all in on my fitness, and then I've been terrible and done nothing at all. I would say I'm in kind of a terrible phase right now where I really haven't been good about fitness. I do have a more active lifestyle. I'm not a person who sits around much. Even if I'm talking on the phone, I'm always walking back and forth. So I guess maybe that helps a little bit, but I definitely need to get better. I even ordered a vibration plate, and it's just sitting there waiting to get used. I have a treadmill in my bedroom waiting to get used, and it's pretty bad. So I need to do better. I want to do better. It is my goal moving into, getting closer to 50. I realize that it's important, not just in how we look, but also in health. So yeah, I can't give you any tips on that one because I have not mastered it at all. If you have any tips for me, leave them down below. I'm happy to take them. I know I need to add some strength training. I know I need to do more walking, get on that treadmill, and I have all the good intentions. I just haven't done it quite yet. So that being said, I do have another tip for looking and feeling my best at 50, and it has to do with a tanning routine, because if I'm not going to tone it, then I've got to tan it because that makes me feel better about myself. So I definitely lean into the self tanner. I think that, the sun can be great for limited amounts of exposure. I love to go out on the boat. I love to go to the beach, but I'm always wearing quite a bit of sunscreen and sun protection. So I'm not really getting any real tan. Even after spending 2 weeks in Maui, I did not have any real tan, only self tanner. So what I like to do is I like to once a week, usually on Sunday nights, do a full exfoliation of my skin on my body. And then I go in with my Loving Tan Mousse in the 2-Hour Express in the darkest shade. And I use a tanning mitt to do that. I do my whole body. If my husband's around, he does my back for me so I don't have that weird white back going on. And I do this full routine. And then I put on long sleeve PJs with long pants and I sleep in it. Even though it's 2-Hour Express, I like to sleep in it, kind of marinate my skin in that tanner. And when I wake up the next day, I have a really nice base tan that really works well. To follow up with this base tan, I every night use my Jergens Gradual Tanning Moisturizer. So I like to use the one that is tanning, but also like firming lotion. So I feel like I'm getting two things in one. I'm getting a moisturizer all over my skin that has firming properties in it, but I'm also getting like a daily glow. It doesn't necessarily make me more tan. What it does is it helps to preserve the self tanner that I've already used. And it also helps with any like lines that I might have gotten, any spots that I might have missed. It kind of blends it all together. So I love to do that. If I'm doing this regularly, it just makes me feel better. First of all, at almost 50, I do have some like sunspots and age spots here and there. And this just makes the skin look pretty. It kind of blurs the imperfections. I think that the tanner coloring does help me to look and feel a little bit slimmer. So I just love a great self tanner. I'm a big fan, but there's also something else that I like to do, which is my body bronzing lotion. So I've talked about this here before. For years, I used the Vita Liberata, which I still think is a great product, but lately I've been using more the, I think it's called Westmore Beauty Bronzer. I get this on Amazon in these big tubes. It is a little bit pricey, probably about the same as the other one, the Vita Liberata, but it's just a bigger tube. But it is phenomenal. So I have a little brush that I will share with you as well that I use to apply it. I love the brush because it helps me not waste any of this lotion, and I just rub it into the skin in circular motions. You can do upper body, lower body, full body, whatever you need depending on what I'm wearing. If I'm wearing jeans, then I'm probably just doing my arms and shoulders and like neck area. If I'm wearing shorts or a dress, I'm doing my legs. It's kind of like a tinted moisturizer bronzer slash body makeup, so it's a little bit thicker than maybe your average just tinted moisturizer, but it doesn't feel like you're wearing makeup on the skin. It does feel like moisturizer. I love it because it gives me a nice blurred, glowy look to the skin, gives me some tan. Even if I haven't self-tanned, it will give me some color. So I'm pretty much always using this. If you see me with, halter neck or sleeveless or, open chest area, I've definitely got this on. I love the way it makes my skin look and feel, and it definitely makes me feel just better overall, gives me more confidence. Okay, another thing I do to really feel my best, especially when I'm on camera, is the eye drops that help whiten your eyes. So when I wake up in the morning, I tend to have just like sleepy eyes. They look very dull. Sometimes they're not very bright. And I love to use these eye drops to help to whiten them. So I just put 1 or 2 drops in each eye. And I just think that having like whiter eyes definitely opens up the eyes, makes you look brighter and more youthful and awake and happier. And so that is definitely a tip that I for sure use on a regular basis. So another thing that always makes me look and feel better and a little bit like, I guess I could say younger for lack of a better word, is adding a little bit of wave or body to my hair. So you'll see me occasionally with straight hair on the channel. It's usually when I've had my hair color done and my hairdresser has blow dried it, because I think he does such a good job, much better than I could do. But just in general, I find that adding a little bit of texture or wave to the hair makes me feel prettier, softer, and more youthful. And I've noticed, even looking at, some of my influencer friends, even friends in real life, that in general, I feel like most mature women look better when they're not going for like a stick straight hair look. Now, this is just my opinion. I'm not saying that straight hair looks bad in any way, shape, or form, but I think sometimes that stick straight hair that really worked for us in our younger days can be a little bit harsh as we get older. Sometimes we need a little bit more volume and movement to the hair, and I think having a little bit of wave or curl can really help with that. I like to use a 1.5 inch barrel curling iron. The one that I use is from Amazon, so it's super, super cheap. And I'll try to insert a little video just showing you how I curl a little bit of my hair just to add some wave and texture to it. I also use a texturizing hairspray to kind of create that grip and that little bit of a beachy look to it. And that is something that definitely makes me just feel a little bit younger, a little bit prettier. I just like that, volume that it adds to the hair. Another thing that I've noticed that really changed as I got older was lipstick shades. So when I was younger, I was all in on the smoky dark eye with a nude shiny lip. I loved that so much. I thought it was so pretty. And even looking at pictures, I just really liked that look. I even like to line the inner rims of my eyes and really go for like a dark, smoky looking eye with that beautiful nude lip. I think that is so pretty on so many people. However, what I've found is as I've gotten older, I really cannot pull that look off at all. It looks very harsh on me, definitely makes me look older. It makes my eyes look more wrinkled and aged, and I just do not like it. I also find that a nude lip on my skin now kind of makes me look like a corpse. It just does not work. So I really stay away from that, as much as I think it's a great look for a lot of people. And maybe if I had more pigment in my skin or something, it could work, but it just doesn't work for me. So if you're finding this with your, nude or lighter lip shades, definitely go for a bolder, brighter lipstick. Now, it doesn't have to be super bright or super bold, but I find that leaning into shades like rosy pink tones really do help to brighten up my face, brighten up my complexion, and make me look a little bit younger, especially in pictures. This is a trick that I swear by. I never like to take a picture without lipstick on. So even if we're doing something like a family selfie or something, I'm usually going to reach in my bag, grab the rosy shade of lipstick and put it on really quick, because without it, I definitely feel like I just lose all color and definition in my face. And I think that rosy lipstick makes all the difference in the world. So I, of course, will share some of my recent favorites down below for you that I really, really love. If you're looking for like a great, little bit brighter, a little bit of a pop of color, rosy lip tone, I'll definitely add some favorites for you. Okay, so this last tip I think is one of the best tips of all, and it's one I've really been leaning into more as I approach 50. I think this could work for women of all ages, and it's something that I had heard recently that really stuck with me in the way that it was said, and I think it's so profound, and that is, rather than trying to hide your flaws, focus on accentuating your strengths. I mean, isn't that just so powerful? So I feel like for years, I was thinking about hiding my flaws through clothing, through makeup, and even in my videos, we had a lot of videos that were about, hiding your arms, hiding a belly, things like that, how to dress to hide your belly. And while those can be very helpful, and a lot of times those videos titles will really help to get views, I think the reality is that we should be thinking more about accentuating our positives, focusing on our strengths. And I think that I have been really learning to do that more as I mature, because I really don't want to always worry about hiding everything. I want to think about what are my strengths and how can I play to those strengths. And the more I dress this way, the more compliments that I have been getting. So for example, for many years, I avoided wearing anything sleeveless because I felt like my arms were not toned enough. I felt like they were too flabby, and I would just do everything I could to cover this part of my arm, which I think is something that most women in mature ages struggle a bit with. And I really got away from that because I noticed that I was getting a lot of compliments on my shoulders. So rather than trying to hide my arms, I think about accentuating my shoulders. What does that mean? That means that, yes, I'm wearing a lot more sleeveless, and I'm typically thinking about things that are more like a halter neckline, maybe tying around the neck, or fit me in a way where they're really accentuating this shoulder area, which is an area that I get a lot of compliments on, I feel more confident in, and I'm not really worrying so much about what's going on in the rest of my arms. They don't have to be perfectly toned and muscular because I'm feeling confident in my strengths. So that is something that I really encourage you to do. If you have great legs, think about wearing maybe a little bit of a shorter skirt or a great pair of shorts, or adding a little bit of a heel to even lengthen the legs even more. If you have a great hourglass figure, think about wearing belts. Think about wearing a belted dress that accentuates the waist. And instead of focusing on your flaws, focus on your strengths and lean into those strengths. I'm telling you, this is a game changer. It's going to make you feel so good and get you a lot of compliments. Okay, ladies, that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed this. I have to say, doing this type of video always gives me a little bit of anxiety. I feel like I avoided doing this one for a while because it's really hard to come on here and say, oh, this is what I do to look and feel great, when really it's a struggle for me many times as well. Like, I'm not always feeling super great and confident about almost turning 50, but these are just some of the things that are helping me to feel better, helping me to age gracefully as much as possible. So if there's anything that I have shared with you that, maybe can help you, then my job here is done. If you have any great tips for me or want to share with me some of the things that have made you look and feel your best at 50 and beyond, I would love for you to leave me a comment down below. And I hope you enjoyed this, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Have a great week.